before all that, Thai curry crickets, barbecue flavour worms and salt and vinegar grasshoppers aren't exactly the sort of things that most people in this country are used to eating. But could you be persuaded to try them?
Insects are regularly eaten by as much as 80% of the world's population, and some researchers say that with rising meat prices, bugs could be the key to solving any future food crisis. John Maguire's been to try some. And it'll be tasting time for us later.
Yes, just after 8 o'clock. It's 7:20 now, though. Let's return to this morning's main story. A man and his 8-year-old daughter have died after they were thrown from a speedboat in Cornwall yesterday. The man's wife and 3 other children suffered life-changing injuries.
The family, who are from London, are understood to have been on holiday in the area when the accident happened in the Camel Estuary near Padstow. Can you explain what was happening when you got there, because you were called pretty quickly, weren't you? Do you know what caused the accident yet? And distressing for the people who saw it. There were a number of eyewitnesses, and also distressing for the people involved in the rescue, even though of course you are thoroughly trained in this. And you mentioned that there was great bravery, that somebody managed to stop the boat when it was moving. Can you tell us more about that? Who was it, and how he managed to stop the boat? And the Coast Guard, your job isn't over yet, is it? I understand we've heard from our reporter there that there are members of staff, people arriving at the scene again this morning to begin their work. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you. From Padstow there.
Just approaching 7:25, still to come this morning on Breakfast. Graham Satchell is in Snowdonia and he's meeting the men who spend their free time measuring mountains.
Hello, this is Breakfast with Roger Johnson and SIAN Lloyd.
Let's bring you a reminder of the main stories this morning. Police are trying to establish what caused 6 people to be thrown from a speedboat off Padstow in North Cornwall yesterday, killing an 8-year-old girl and her father. Husbands or wives of British people living abroad will no longer automatically receive a state pension under plans being drawn up by the government.
Anti-gun campaigners in the United States say they're worried by the announcement that the world's first working gun has been produced using parts from a 3D printer.
They were a little surprised and taken aback.
I'd have liked to have seen their faces, actually, yes.
Even to be told to be quiet by Dame Helen Mirren is quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean,
Even more
definitely.
when she's dressed as the Queen. Those are the main stories this morning. Carol will have a weather forecast for us in about 10 minutes' time. At
7:31, we're going to get the sport. Morning, Kat. My side today.
Yes, oranges together.
Yeah,
we're starting with the snooker because it's, of course, the final of the World Championship snooker. Barry Hawkins. Barry Hawkins he hasn't got beyond the second round at the Crucible
and was expected to be completely blown away by the hurricane.
Exactly, the rocket.
The rocket, that's it, sorry.
So that'll all come to a conclusion later this afternoon, and we'll see who's going to be the world champion.
Can
Ronnie O'Sullivan defend his title?
I was madly clutching there, was I? I think I went through Alex Higgins, Jimmy White, and eventually you rescued me with Ronnie the Rocket.
Came in with the rocket in the Olympics. Well, good news from Saudi Arabia in terms of women's rights. Women in private schools, only private schools for the time being, are now being given the right to athletes running at the London Olympics. It was so symbolic, wasn't it, that they were there to represent. And they didn't do very well in terms of medals and rankings and things, but it was more a symbolic victory, wasn't it?
Trailblazers, weren't they?
Yeah, and interesting to see it happen really relatively soon after the Olympics.
Yes,
then,
exactly. I mean, maybe that's the power of sport. That's what it can do.
Thanks very much,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn to Ratty and Mole in The Wind of the Willows, pairs of best friends, well, they feature in many children's books, but is it actually good for children to have one best friend?
Well, one primary school head teacher thinks that children shouldn't have a best friend as it makes them possessive and can cause arguments. We'll discuss this in just a moment, but first we asked some children and their parents what they thought.
It's 7:42 now. You're watching Breakfast from BBC News. The main stories this morning. Also coming up on the programme.
It is a bank holiday Monday, of course. The weather is looking great for most of us. Carol is out at the Ruislip Lido, or is it Lido, Carol? We're never quite sure. Now, shows like the Great British Bake Off and Sewing Bee have seen traditional hobbies like embroidery and baking take centre stage, and now it seems that more and more people are trying their hand at home crafts, with the industry reported to be worth over £3 billion.
One person who knows just how profitable crafts can be is James Bordwell 5 years ago, he set up Folksy.com, an online marketplace for crafters, which now sells nearly £1.5 million worth of homemade goods a year.
Right, we're going to meet the men with the power to move mountains next. I'd say move mountains, make mountains. A group of amateur surveyors who've been climbing and remeasuring some of Britain's highest peaks to see if they are actually high enough to be called mountains.
They've already had 2 reclassified as mountains. Today, we're finding out if Talavan in Snowdonia could be downgraded to a hill. And Graham Satchell is there to tell us more. And you went up a mountain, didn't you, Graham? I'm most relieved, Graham, as well, being a proud Welsh woman, and it's lovely to see you there at the end of the Carneddau Range near Conwy, a beautiful part of the world, and it looks like the sun might come out for you later as well. It was lovely yesterday, wasn't it?
Lovely, beautiful. Yeah, no, the sun is out.
I have to say.
Thanks, Graham.
Very concerned. Coming up in the next half hour on Breakfast.
I don't know if you're all looking forward to that. We've had some interesting comments. Right now, though, time to get the news, travel and weather where you are this morning.